Hello.
Hello.
Hello,
I'm Ben,
I'm Jingyu.
And I'm Rebecca.
and we're all developer relations engineers on Android.
We have the exciting task of giving you, our fellow developers, an overview of what's new in Android. So let's get started with what's new in AI. We are in the generative AI era, or should I say, the Gemini era. So today, we will walk you through our most capable Gemini model and how you can access them directly in your Android app. And at the end of our talk, we'll share how we continued to power up your development with Gemini in Android Studio.
Last December, we introduced Gemini with state-of-the-art performance across many leading benchmarks. These models are optimized for 3 different tasks. Gemini Nano, our most efficient model for on-device. Gemini Pro, the best model for scaling across a wide range of tasks. And finally, Gemini Ultra, our largest and most capable model for highly complex use cases.
Gemini Nano is specifically optimized to run on mobile, and it's Android's foundation model of choice for building on-device generative AI applications. Starting with Android 14, a new system service named AI Core provides you easy access to Gemini Nano. AI Core handles model management, runtimes, safety features, and enables low-rank adaptation fine-tuning. Gemini Nano is now available on Pixel 8 Pro and Samsung S24 series devices, and we look forward to bringing it to more premium devices in the near future.
You will be able to access Gemini Nano via AI Core with the AI Edge SDK, which is currently in private preview. We've been actively working with early access partners like Adobe, Grammarly, and Patreon on building compelling on-device Gen AI features, and we plan to gradually expand access to more developers. You may be curious about what features you can build with Gemini Nano today.
So here are 2 examples from Google's apps. Messages. Because user data privacy and low latency are key, Messages has 2 features using Gemini Nano, Magic Compose and Suggested Text. Magic Compose transforms what you write into different styles. In the example here, they're in the mood for Shakespeare. Recorder. Users can get a concise summary of transcripts generated with Gemini Nano and AI Core, which will always be available with or without a network connection.
And it's not just Google Apps. Among our early access partners, Adobe is experimenting with Gemini Nano to enhance the on-device experience of Acrobat AI Assistant, a tool that allows users to summarize and interact with documents.
And roll the next slide. It's pretty impressive that all these AI magic runs on device. This is just the beginning. As you heard, starting with Pixel later this year, our on-device Gemini Nano is getting even more powerful with multi-module capabilities. To learn more about Gemini Nano and Android's architecture under the hood, check out this talk.
Gemini Nano, the on-device model, increases user privacy because the data never leaves the device during AI inference. It works without being online, so your AI features fully work with or without a network connection. And it has no additional cost, which is a pretty sweet deal. But if you have more complex use cases, then consider using our larger, more capable models.
To access these models directly in your Android app, we built tools and APIs that are easy to use and meet you where you are in your development environment. For those of you who are new to building with generative AI, Google AI Studio is a great starting point to start experimenting with prompting and prototyping. For developers and enterprise users who are already using Vertex AI, you can prototype with Vertex AI Studio.
And once you're happy with your prototype, integrate it directly with Google AI client SDKs within your Android app. For Firebase users, we're launching Vertex AI for Firebase. The SDK is in public preview with general availability expected by early fall 2024.
And to learn more about different model capabilities, prompt engineering techniques, and use cases for building Gen AI apps, check out Gemini on Android. Build your own Gen AI-powered app.
All right. Android lets you create excellent experiences for your users. Of course, these days, people are using a lot of devices: phones, tablets, foldables, flippables, Wear, cars, and TVs. So let's see how you can build for the devices where your users are.
Since your apps can appear across a variety of sizes and form factors, knowing how to best lay out your app is even more important. You want a strong foundation, a scaffold, if you will.
On a foldable or flippable, for example, Android apps can be resized when opening and closing. On a tablet, they can be rotated to create more space. You can resize apps in desktop mode with Chrome OS. So we recommend using Jetpack Compose. Compose's declarative APIs make it easy to scale to these diverse use cases.
To make this as easy as possible, we're excited to announce a new set of Compose APIs for building adaptive layouts with material guidance.
For example, the Adaptive Navigation Library automatically handles navigation no matter what form factor of your device your app appears on, by leveraging the default layout behaviors based on window size classes.
And here are those scaffolds I promised. Available today, we have 3 layouts that implement common adaptive scenarios. Navigation Suite Scaffold for handling navigation. List Detail Pane Scaffold handles presenting a list and a detail pane together, adapting to how much window space available there is. And Supporting Pane Scaffold is for when your primary content is displayed in one pane, while additional content such as recommendations or comments are presented in the right pane if there is enough space.
So on a larger window size, you have enough room to display both your list screen and your detail screen together. So now neither one is filling up that entire physical screen. You have multiple screens together. But don't think in terms of screens. Think in terms of panes. We want you to think adaptive. So write once and adapt across screen sizes and configurations.
Grouping content into panes instead of just screens also unlocks new opportunity for the user to rearrange panes. Another request that we've seen from users is the ability to resize panes. When in a 2-pane layout, sometimes a user really wants to focus on content in one pane over the other. Here, the draggable handle will resize the pane to hide one of the 2 panes. We call this pane expansion. In Android 15, this feature is being added to activity embedding, and this support will also come to Material 3 Adaptive.
For more information, check out the Building UI with Material 3 Adaptive Library talk and the Building Adaptive Android Apps talk.
When you've considered how to lay out your app, you've probably had to handle window insets. And so starting in Android 15, apps will be edge-to-edge by default after they target SDK 35. Last year, we added Enable Edge-to-Edge in Android X to allow you to be able to backport this layout and be compatible with previous Android versions, plus manage the complexities of 3-button and gesture navigation. In Android 15, we want to give you simpler defaults. So give your status, your gesture, and 3-button navigation bar to be simple. Most system bars will now be transparent, but we've increased the opacity for the 3-button navigation bar for better accessibility. Additionally, apps will now draw into the display cutout by default.
Use Compose components like Top App Bar and Navigation Bar because they automatically handle the window insets for you. For views, Material components also automatically handle window insets.
From thinking about the top and bottom of your app to now about the size and gesture navigation, Android 15 removes the developer option for predictive back system animations. This means any app that has already adopted cross-task, cross-activity, and back-to-home animations will be visible to the user. Predictive back is a great way to make your app feel like it's responding to your user's every back swipe, like what we see here for calendar.
All right, next up, widgets. Widgets have been around since Android 4.2, and over the last 12 years, Android developers have made great widgets that users love. And so now we have an easier way of building them with Jetpack Glance, our recommended way of building widgets.
Contacts went live with a new suite of widgets last year, and they used Jetpack Glance for the first time. They found development of their widget to be 25% faster when using Glance.
Nice.
And there's more. Generated previews are coming to Android 15. Now, using Glance, you can emit a remote view to be used in the Picker preview instead of just a static resource. This allows you to customize it for the user. So, if I was looking to add a contact widget to my home screen, with generated previews, it would actually show Rebecca, who is obviously my favorite contact.
Did you write this?
This is similar to the pin widget flow, which allows you to prompt your user to add the widget to the home screen from within the app. And Glance 1.1 is now available and in release candidate, bringing a new unit test library, error UIs, and new components.
We have also released new canonical widget layouts on GitHub, which are built on top of the Glance components to allow you to get started faster with a set of layouts that align with our best practices. The first set of layouts are code samples and a matching Figma design kit in Android UI Kit, with more layouts coming later this year.
And lastly, we have new design guidance published on the UI Design Hub.
For a deep dive on this, check out the live technical session on widgets and Glance tomorrow. And this live workshop to try out the changes for edge-to-edge, predictive back, and Glance also tomorrow.
On to the next excellent experience, camera and media. So many of us are familiar with night mode for still images. Android 15 introduces the new low light boost, which excels in real-time enhancement. This auto exposure mode prioritizes capturing more light. For brighter previews and videos, it can reduce frame rate, increase sensor sensitivity, and apply localized processing. You can let the user know if low light boost is running by checking in the capture callbacks.
Camera X is Jetpack library designed to make your life easier when integrating with camera sensors. The first beta release of Camera X 1.4 brings a whole host of new features, including Ultra HDR image capture and stabilization of both the camera preview and the recorded video.
Finally, you will now be able to show the preview on screen using a viewfinder composable with our first alpha version of Jetpack Compose camera library. The library will take care of different form factors, screen aspect ratios, and deal with surface lifecycle. You just have to link it up to the Camera X core libraries.
Since Jetpack Media 3 went stable last year, we've seen developers get incredible improvements in both performance and reliability by utilizing Media 3 APIs. 1 Second Every Day and YouTube Shorts are two of those developers using the new Transformer APIs to great effect. 5 times faster video encoding for 1 Second Every Day, and a 19% reduction in video transcoding failures and timeouts for YouTube Shorts. Check out the Building Modern Android Media and Camera Talk tomorrow for more information.
Next, let's talk about performance, starting with the battery of the device. Having your device battery last through the day is something every user needs. From our internal research, we found that a major contributor to bad battery experiences turns out to be screen-off battery drain. This is where Android platform has been optimizing work in the background with DOS, App Standby Bucket, and most recently with foreground service types and restrictions. In order to further preserve battery for your users,
Here's a flowchart to help you choose the appropriate APIs while maintaining system resources and power consumption. You should only choose a foreground service when you need the work to continue after the app has been backgrounded, and this work is either initiated by the user or the user is already aware of it. If there is an alternative API for your use case, then opt for use case-specific APIs. For example, user-initiated data transfer APIs help you with large downloads and uploads with the ability to retry if the transfers fail, and they will only execute during network availability.
To understand how your app is doing in terms of battery consumption, you can use the performance inspection tool Perfetto and an Android 14 Plus device that supports on-device power monitoring.
Check out this talk to level up on the best practices for optimizing your battery usage.
And if you want to learn about what all those colored bars actually mean, well, you should come to our workshop tomorrow on practical performance problem solving in Jetpack Compose. But here's a spoiler. One of the easiest ways to increase the performance of your app without having to dive into the low level is by adding a custom baseline profile with DEX reordering and enabling R8 with the latest AGP. The combination of all of the above has led to gains of up to 60% in our testing.
For the game and graphics developers out there, this update is for you. Vulkan is a modern GPU API that reduces the driver CPU overhead while improving the utilization of multi-core system designs. Over the past year, we've seen significant Vulkan usage, and we've published case studies showing how you leverage Vulkan to improve performance and also simply porting games from other platforms. It is available since Android 7 and is our recommended API for building high-performance C, C++ games and graphics-intensive applications. And it also has support from all modern game engines.
So Android 15 includes Angle as an optional layer running on top of OpenGL on top of Vulkan, which will help standardize the Android OpenGL implementation for improved compatibility and, in some cases, improved performance. You can test out your OpenGLES app stability and performance with Angle using a developer option.
Moving forward, Angle will become the system OpenGL driver on more devices, and Vulkan will increasingly become the way Android apps communicate with the GPU. After that, we expect OpenGL to only be supported through Angle. You can learn more about the transition to Vulkan and how to test your app with Angle on our website.
Android is secure and private by design, and here is some of what is new in security and privacy. Safer intents. In past releases, we made improvements in intents, so malicious apps couldn't exploit intents and intent filtering matches. But we heard your feedback that these changes could be complex, involving interactions between apps. So we're enabling the features under strict mode to help you test your app to make it compatible. Explicit intents must match the target component's intent filter. Next, background activity launch. To reduce unintended background activity launches, pending intent creators will now block them by default. And lastly, the minimum installable target API. For anyone with an app that hasn't been updated for many years, update your target SDK version because apps with a target SDK version less than 24 cannot be installed.
In terms of protecting users, let's then look at protecting users' data by reducing broad access to their photos and videos. Last year, Google Play announced a policy related to the photo and video permissions. Apps must now demonstrate that they require a broad level of access for their core use case in order to use the permission. Instead of requesting these permissions, we recommend using the Android Photo Picker, a safe, built-in way for users to grant your app access to only selected photos and videos. And it also includes cloud photos from Google Photos.
Besides the platform features, you can further protect your app using the Play Integrity API. developers using the Play Integrity API see on average an 80% lower unauthorized usage compared to unprotected apps. To provide you with a verdict on if there's a risk for other apps running, which could access or control your app, we've added App Access Risk. The new verdict provides you with 2 different risk levels: capturing and controlling.
To find out more, check out the Safeguarding User Security on Android Talk.
The Credential Manager API provides a simple developer service for your users' login information. It aggregates sign-in with Google, passkeys, and passwords into one single interface. And to reduce complexity for you, the system automatically shows the most secure and relevant login option, and the users always have the choice to select their sign-in method.
Just within the last year, we have seen partners like Dashlane, TikTok, and Kayak start supporting passkeys and migrating to Credential Manager, seeing incredible results for their users.
UX improvements for passkeys on Android has been the focus for us over the last year. Users may accidentally dismiss Credential Manager's account selector. To make sure that those users will still be able to sign in, Credential Manager options will now be shown on autofill surfaces in Android 15. Your users will see their saved credentials in keyboard suggestions or when clicking on relevant input fields during sign-in.
Credential Manager is also expanding to support digital identities. Digital identities are a digitized form of your physical documents, such as your driver's license or a membership card, and these IDs are stored in digital wallet apps on your device. Credential Manager provides an API that will allow your users to share their ID information from their digital wallet to the required app.
We're also happy to announce that Credential Manager is coming to Wear OS 5. With this integration, you'll be able to sign in using your passkeys, passwords, or sign in with Google right from your watch. You can start working with this feature in the Wear OS 5 quarterly platform release, and we'll even include support for third-party credential providers so you can reuse your existing credentials.
For more details, check out the Passkeys and Digital Identity Best Practices talk.
And there are even more updates to Wear OS 5. It's been amazing to see what you've been able to create so far using the watch face format. Here are just a few examples of what we have seen developers ship to the Play Store. With Wear OS 5, we're giving you even more options with 2 new complication data types: Go Progress and Weighted Elements.
We're also seeing, with the momentum surrounding Wear OS, a wider variety of rounder screen sizes and resolutions, which provides more choices for the user. This gives you the opportunity to show a richer app experience on a single screen. As an example, you can see here that the chip element shows more of the notifications content. The Wear OS team has come up with some principles to guide development for larger displays, and to see those and more, check out the Building for the Future of Wear OS talk.
In Wear OS 5, the Health Services API is making it easier for your Wear OS app to support robust, power-efficient coaching experiences. There are a lot of uses for advanced running metrics, so we're introducing new data types just for that. For example, in a workout, you can now compare stride length and ground contact time to understand a number of things, including when a runner may be getting fatigued. And to support you transitioning from the Google Fit APIs, we've introduced the Recording API on mobile, which lets you measure steps and soon distance and calories in a power-efficient way.
This time last year, we announced that Health Connect would become part of the Android platform, beginning with Android 14. Health Connect is a common API for storing and sharing health and fitness data. Developers can read from and write to on-device data store. And Health Connect gives users full control over the privacy of their on-device data.
We've added new features to improve both the developer and user experience, like background reads and history reads, and 2 new data types: skin temperature and training plans. For more information, check out the Building Adaptable Experiences with Android Health talk.
Next up, Android TV. Starting off with Compose for TV is now available in beta. Since the last release, we have improved the performance and input support, added a whole range of improvements, improved components that look great out of the box. If you haven't already, now is the time to start migrating to Compose for TV.
So to help you, the new TV Material Catalog app lets you explore components in Compose for TV with different themes and layouts. To see how this all fits together, we've updated our Jetstream sample on GitHub. Plus, we've updated the templates in Android Studio to include a new project wizard.
As well as Compose for TV, we've also made improvements to Android TV. Here are just 3. First, a new video discovery API is coming to TV that simplifies the integration that powers one of the most used features on TV, the continue watching row. Second, round app icons are now standard. Make sure to follow the TV app icon guidelines to make sure your icons are displayed as expected. And third, there are new modes to optimize for power consumption. Make sure that your app is correctly integrating with media sessions so that you can react to these power state changes. After all, you don't want your app to keep playing when the user switches off the screen or just changes input modes. For more information, check out the Everything You Need to Know about Google TV and Android TV OS talk.
And now, Android for cars. To help you make your app the best it can be for cars, here are the top 3 things. We're introducing car app quality tiers. They provide a set of guidelines for building car-ready, car-optimized, and car-differentiated experiences that make it easy to distribute your large-screen optimized apps to cars.
Next, we've released 2 new emulators for Android Automotive OS. With the Distant Display emulator, you can test out how your app moves between screens. And then the Configurable emulator allows you to emulate different system bar configurations and display cutouts that are unique to cars.
Lastly, we know it's quite a hard sell convincing your boss you need to expense a new car just so you can test your Android app. So we're releasing a system image for Pixel tablets that runs Android Automotive. This gives you the option of testing on a physical device. For all the information about Android for cars, including how to nominate yourself for early access programs and testing tools, check out the Android for Cars talk.
Next up, Stylus. With new support for handwriting and text fields, apps that support Stylus allow Android users to remain even more productive. Users no longer need to put down their stylus to input text into a field.
Android 14 and higher enable users to write into any text field in any app using a stylus. For text field in Compose, you need to make sure to update to the June release. For adding text in views and other text input elements in web views, no additional work is needed. But if you have a custom view which supports text input, or a UI element that looks like a text field, make sure you're handling stylus handwriting in your app. Check out the developer documentation for more information on handling custom text editors.
A key aspect of a responsive inking experience is low latency. Reducing latency minimizes the delay between moving your stylus and the ink appearing on screen. Based on your feedback, we've introduced 2 new APIs to make low latency easier for apps that use Canvas for rendering, along with our existing GL Front Buffered Renderer API. So Canvas Front Buffered Renderer supports hardware-accelerated Canvas rendering to the hardware buffer, and low latency Canvas View leverages the traditional view system for implementing the multi-buffered content and abstracts all Surface View usage for greater simplicity. For more details on stylus support, low latency ink, as well as the notes role, check out the Increase User Productivity and Large Screens talk.
From user productivity to developer productivity, let's have a look at how we're making you build apps faster than ever before. And of course, that means we're talking about Jetpack Compose. As we've seen today, Compose is the way to build apps across form factors. You can use Compose to build faster and easier across phones, tablets, foldables, widgets, wearables, and TV. Let's have a look at some new features coming to Compose itself.
We've always said Compose makes development faster and easier, but we heard feedback from you where we could go faster. One of those pain points was matching versions of Kotlin and the Compose compiler. So the Compose compiler is moving to the Kotlin repository, starting from Kotlin 2.0. What does this mean? The Compose compiler will now ship directly with Kotlin instead. No more waiting to upgrade Kotlin. To use this, the compiler will now be delivered with a new Compose compiler Gradle plugin, which you will need to add to your versions file. Then, in any module that you use Compose, apply the plugin at the top of the file. No more having to manually specify the version of Compose compiler that matches your current Kotlin version.
Something else that makes you faster is when you don't have to spend time debugging performance. We want the code you write naturally to be fast. And that's why we've been developing a new feature called strong skipping mode. Strong skipping mode allows more composables to be skipped. Composables will now be able to skip without having to make every parameter stable. Additionally, if you've ever found yourself having to wrap Lambda calls with a remember, well, strong skipping mode fixes that as well. We automatically wrap all Lambdas used in composables in remember for you. The Now an Android app enabled strong skipping mode and saw the time to recompose the home screen improve by 20%. We continue to add performance improvements to each release of Compose. The latest release of Compose again improves the time to first draw by 17% compared to the January release. We've rewritten the indication APIs to allow for lazy creation of ripples. For most of you, this should be a really easy change, but if you have custom indications in your app, there may be some breaking changes on upgrade. But don't worry, we've got new documentation out to help you along that path. We're also working on a bunch of other low-level changes to the Compose runtime. Improved prefetching APIs, and we're rewriting the slot table. It's not a table anymore. Some would say it was never a table in the first place, but we can debate that later. All of these improvements apply just by upgrading your version of Compose, with no other work required, unless you wrote a talk or book on Compose internals, in which case you might have a lot of work to do. And just to prove it to you, here is our JetSnack benchmark. It continues to improve across updates. Since I/O last year, we have nearly halved the time to first pixel of JetSnack. And we're doing that just by upgrading Compose. We didn't do anything else.
And it's not just performance that we've been working on. We've also added features that you've requested, like lazy layouts. These now have the item change animations, including move. It's simple to use. All you have to do is add the animate item modifier to your items. And of course, shared element transitions. Shared element transitions are a seamless way to transition between similar content. Often used for navigation, these allow for visual connectivity between different screens. Shared elements also have predictive back support built right in, so you can easily create powerful animations tied directly to the back gesture.
We've added new flow layouts, contextual flow row and column. This lazy composes its content, so it's not composing more than what will fit on the screen. It also provides you with contextual information about what was composed, so you can create a numbered expand indicator.
Text now has the ability to receive rich content, which means you can finally insert GIFs from the keyboard into your Compose apps. Text also now supports inline links and basic HTML formatting.
Supporting accessibility in Jetpack Compose has been a top priority based on your feedback. Here are a couple of great updates to quickly identify and address potential accessibility issues with Compose. First, enhanced accessibility scanner. The latest updates provides you with recommendation and documentation specifically for Compose UIs. Second, Compose in Android accessibility test framework. We've integrated Compose support into this open source framework, the backbone of many of our accessibility testing tools on Android. This means you will now see Compose-related accessibility recommendations in various places, including the pre-launch report on Play Console. And lastly, the new UI check mode in Android Studio. This new feature within Compose previews helps you build accessible and adaptable UIs. There's a lot more features in Android accessibility for TalkBack and hearing aids. To learn more, check out the updates to Android accessibility features and APIs talk.
We're seeing rapid adoption of Compose across the ecosystem. SoundCloud recently used Compose to launch on new devices in a fraction of the time. And SoundCloud isn't alone. Of the top 1,000 apps on the Play Store, almost 40% now use Compose, and this percentage continues to grow.
Kotlin has been Android's recommended programming language since 2018, and we know you love it. Traditionally, developers must either write code individually for each platform they want to target, or make a number of compromises in order to reuse code across platforms. As we heard in the developer keynote, we are supporting Kotlin multi-platform, which enables sharing code across mobile, web, server, and desktop platforms.
Our initial focus, and our initial focus is sharing the business logic, the parts of the code that's most agnostic to the user interfaces. We've seen Android developers get the most value in not having to duplicate and maintain this kind of code. We've also begun working on Kotlin multi-platform support for multiple Jetpack libraries, with stable versions of collections, view model, and data store are now available, and Room is available in alpha.
We promised to show you what's new in AI and Android development at the beginning of our talk. So let's roll the video. To hear more about Android Studio, Gemini in Android Studio, and much more on developer productivity, check out the What's New in Android Development Tools talk tomorrow.
So there you have it. That was a whistle-stop tour of everything that is new in Android that we could fit in 40 minutes, which is still quite a lot. So we asked Gemini to summarize our talk for the key themes of what's new in Android.
First, innovate with Gen AI. Android is embracing the era of generative AI. The powerful Gemini model, accessed via SDKs and Android Studio, provides developers easy access for AI experiences.
Next, building for every device. Android continues to help developers optimize for different screen sizes and form factors. Jetpack Compose is key to that success, with new adaptive layout libraries. Further, improved window management makes building apps for foldables, tablets, and wearables even easier.
And finally, create excellent experiences with privacy features protecting user data like photo picker, and new functionalities with Credential Manager to protect the user's identities. From Camera X and Media 3 to performance and security, Android 15 provides improvements across the board.
And speaking of Android 15, Beta 2 is out tomorrow. So we've technically given you a day's head start. Stay tuned for more announcements tomorrow. And that's it. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.